and working as reviewer for several international conferences and journals. His research interest includes medical image processing, data mining, machine learning, dimensionality reduction, and many more. So I thank Dr. B. Surendran for accepting our invitation. It's really an honor and privilege to have you, sir.
Thank you, madam.
I heartily welcome you to the session, sir. We welcome you, sir.
Okay. Yeah,
now, over to you, sir.
Yes, ma'am. Is my screen visible, madam? Slideshow?
Yes, sir. Visible, sir.
Okay. So today, I'm Dr. B. Surendran from IIT Puducherry. So I'll be talking about application of AI and ML for healthcare. Some of the topics maybe you will be knowing it, and some of the topics may be new to you. So this will be very useful for research. A lot of topics which current people are working on, and a lot of applications I'm talking about. So today's session. So these are the contents for today's session. So I'll be discussing about application of healthcare, how deep learning is applied for healthcare, and drug discovery. So nowadays we are in the pandemic situation, and how drug discovery has been evolved from starting stage to current using a machine learning, how they are using the computers and the machine learning algorithms for finding the drugs, and smartwatches, which is going to be in future, it has a lot of scope. So I'll be talking about that, and the various standards, medical standards, and blockchain and other apps for healthcare. So these things I'll be discussing in today's session. So it will take almost around 45 to 1 hour, and the remaining time I may talk about some of the interesting topic about the research tips. Some of the I will be sharing some of the tools. One of the important people like search everything and all those things, if time is there in the last half an hour. So is my voice audible, madam? It is clear, or I have to put it a bit louder?
Yes, sir.
Clear,
it is
sir.
Clear, sir. Clear,
Okay,
sir.
thank you. So so you know about healthcare. If we talk about healthcare, we have detection, diagnosis of various diseases like tumors and other diseases. So if you take a tumors, you'll be having like lung cancer, brain tumor, breast cancer, that's mammograms, and various other applications. So for that, we'll be having detection, diagnosis, and prediction. Let me use annotation here. Yeah. So these things usually comes for let me use different color. Yeah. Use pencil, size of the pen tool. Yeah. Okay. Clear all the patients. Yeah. So let us come back again here. So these are the things we'll be talking about: any medical images, diagnosis, detection, prediction, all those things. And if we talk about drug discovery, so it talks about identifying a drug, a new drug for any new disease, for new disease like COVID, all those things. Now they came up with the drugs. So it was almost 1 year, 2 months like that. So it takes almost 1 year now for identifying a new drug. And personalized medicine is another area where I'll be talking about in detail in the later slides. And medical imaging, that's already I said about cancer and other things. Other than that, like fracture detections and all those things, a lot of other applications are there. And genome analysis is another area where AI and ML is applied in healthcare. Microanalysis is another new, currently a lot of research is going on microanalysis. And if we talk about logistics, we have blockchain application is there for logistics. So I'll be talking in detail about logistics, why why it is very important research area, and how the companies are now moving to blockchain for logistics or supply chain management. We call it a supply chain management. How they are using blockchain for healthcare. So, and these are other research areas, and mental health and speech patterns, diabetes, radiology, uh, so telemedicine and all those things. So these are the various applications of healthcare. You can read about in detail about the various these research areas if you're interested. And go to the next slide. Yeah, clear my annotations. Yeah. So if we talk about image processing tools for medical imaging, or any image processing for medical images, if you can use either MATLAB, OpenCV, or you can use Python libraries. And if people are not good at Python programming, they can use MATLAB. It is a little bit faster than compared to Python. And you have OpenCV also. It has a lot of libraries where you can do real-time processing, like images and videos and all those things. So it's very you can use any one of these tools, either MATLAB, OpenCV, or Python. And these are other tools, Ideal Tool and Chorus, and these are other tools are available, but they are not much famous. And if we talk about the standard for medical images, we have DICOM standard. So I'll be talking about in detail about medical standards. So what is the advantage of these medical standards is that they will store not only the image, they will store the prescription and other information, patient information, along with these images and all those things, the medical images. So that is another advantage of these tools. And I said drug discovery. So if you take the initial stages, if you take about it has several levels, like drug discovery, preclinical trial, clinical trial, and finally FDA has to review and approve the drug. So they start with 15,000 compounds, and finally they'll come up with a single drug, one drug. So it is a manual process. So they do it in the labs. So this analyzing 15,000 compounds, it takes 6.5 years. And clinical trial, preclinical trial, it takes almost 7 years. If you take clinical trials, it takes about 1.5 years. More than 13 to 14 years. But now currently, if you see the medicines, you are getting it in 1 year or 1.5 years. So that is because of the advanced of machine learning and AI, which are applied for drug discovery. So if you take that, so if you take here, so this side is a normal process which takes several months and all those things, and it is using a machine learning. So if you take the discovery of the drugs, it takes several years. So even though they mentioned like 30 months, so here it takes in the days. And the next level, these two process, it takes 48 months, but here it takes only in a week's time. A clinical trial, nowadays they have these things will take a similar time. But if we see here, we have only 20,000 drugs can be analyzed using the normal standard drug discovery. But if we use machine learning and all those things, it is called as a MICAR, is one of the drug discovery process. So here you can analyze, I think. So instead of 20,000, we are able to analyze more compounds. So we have a better, efficient drug can be identified using machine learning process. And if you take about the drug discovery here, IBM is using it supercomputers for analyzing the drug, for finding the drug discovery and all those things. So a lot of companies are working. It's like not only the medical or pharmacy companies they are working alone. It's like AI and companies or the technology companies support is required in their every process levels. So with that only they can able to do all the analysis and all those things. So that is about the drug discovery here. Yeah. So here, if we talk about, I said about formats and these things. Sorry. Yeah. So there for medical images, we have several formats. So there are standard formats like DICOM, Analyze, NIFTA. These are the various formats. And if we talk about Philips, one of the leading company in providing the scanners like MRI and other scanners. So they have a specific format like PR REC format, and there is another format called as MINC. But among these, DICOM, Analyze, and NIFTI and NRD are the most used formats. Among this, DICOM is most frequently used, and Analyze also. So if you want to do some research, you can take these formats, and it has various applications like not only the image processing application, the security support also is there, where you will be storing the information securely in this single format. In not only the images, you will be storing the information, and the prescription and all those things can be stored in a single format. So can when the scanning centers, some of the hospitals will not have the scan centers, they will rely on the third party scan centers. So when the scan centers send the information to the doctors, the hospitals, or even then the same hospital where we have the scan centers and the hospitals integrated at one, so they will send the information in these formats, DICOM formats, or these formats, because these formats will have more advantage of, instead of using only as JPEG image. So that is the advantage of these formats. So if you people wants to work on, they can think about using these formats for their research work. And we know that smartwatches nowadays is getting famous. If you see the future, a lot of companies like Samsung and the various companies are working on smartwatches with advanced technologies. They are going to incorporate like the health, not only the heartbeat. So they want to detect various diseases using the smartwatches. So that is the current research which is going on with the help of IoT and all those things. So with the cloud support and all those things, they want to analyze the patterns, and it has AI incorporated into the smartwatches. It's like if you have a standard pattern, if suddenly there is a change in the pattern, the smartwatches will be able to detect that, and it will create a SOS alert. So it has saved a lot of lives. You can see it in the net. There is Apple smartwatch. It is able to detect when a hiker was fall down. Okay, he was a sudden fall of direction has been detected, and it is able to save him from the cliff. I mean, by sending an SOS and their location of the GPS. I mean the location, and they are able to track the hiker, and they are able to save him from the uh, yeah, from this fall. I mean, he has fallen down, but they are able to save him his life. So this is the standard applications which came in the news. But a lot of companies are working on incorporating AI and other functionality into these smartwatches. So that is going to be the future. So instead of going to hospitals frequently, people will be using the smartwatches, and they are able to detect irregular patterns from your various signals it detects. So that is what the research is going on. And yeah, so here not only the fitness fall detection, it will have biometric and other BPN nervous, sleep tracking, and the future has to be going to be the AI based and IoT based. So there are a lot of companies are working on this AI and IoT integrated into the smartwatches to detect the various patterns from the data what they get it from the the person who is using the smartwatch. So how blockchain is going to revolutionize the healthcare? Because the blockchain, if you talk about, we'll be knowing only about the bitcoins or the cryptocurrency. But nowadays, blockchain is used in various applications. If you take in Andhra Pradesh, the previous government has employed they used blockchain for registering the land documents and all those things in Andhra Pradesh, so that they can avoid any fake or duplicate registrations or selling the same land to several persons. So all those things can be avoided. So it is one of the application, and it has a lot of applications in healthcare industry. So it uh, like not only for the patient information, his prescriptions and all those things. It also has support. I mean, it has also applications related to logistics or supply chain management. I'll be talking about it in the next few slides. So if you take blockchain for healthcare, it has various applications like in digital identity management, that is identifying the patients and what other treatments can be given to him once his past history. So several information can be identified or managed using the blockchain. And financial insurance records. So a person can claim multiple insurance claims, so or false claims and all those things. These things, just a minute. Sorry, I got a call here. Yeah. So if you take about insurance records and financial management, all those things, to avoid multiple claims or duplicate or false claims and all those things, nowadays insurance companies are using blockchain technology to track the, to maintain this for the healthcare industry and block insurance and all those things. And clinical research and all those places, they are using it as applications, blockchain as an applications. And main application is in the health supply chain management. So if we talk about the medicines or the pharmacy companies, so they have the main problem is the fake drugs. So fake drugs coming to the market and all those things. To track that, they can start with, from the supply chain, from the starting of the getting the raw material, and how the tablets or medicines are getting manufactured to the dealers or distributors till it reaches the medical shop. They can have the tracking the logistics. So supply chain management can be tracked with the help of blockchain, so that they can avoid fake drugs and all those things. They can able to maintain easily. So blockchain has a lot of applications in healthcare. If people wants to work on any of these topics, they can work on these topics. There's a lot of scope for research. And if you take about the how the it is applicable for the identity management for patients and all those things. Let us say a patient is, the image is not clear. So here the patient will register for a blockchain address, and he goes to a hospital called XYZ for treatment for a particular disease. Okay, so let me clear my yeah. So patient have a blockchain address. He goes to a XYZ hospital. So he goes to XY. Sorry. Yeah. XYZ hospital for a particular treatment of a disease. Let's say we call it as disease 1. Okay, D1. Okay, disease. Let us say D1. For disease 1, he is going to hospital XYZ, And after the treatment and all those things, so the report, the medical report is transferred to the blockchain and address of the patient. So the report is pushed to the patient blockchain and address, and it has all the prescription. What are the tests have been done? What are the doctors have prescribed for this disease? And all the information will be stored in the blockchain address of the patient. And now, next, let us say the patient goes to the hospital ABC. Here we have the hospital ABC for another treatment, for some other disease or some other treatment. And before treating the patient, let us say the ABC wants to know the previous what are the treatments have been done. So they can request for that ABC hospital ABC. So here we have the ABC requesting the details about the past history. So for this, the patient has to approve the details. Then only the hospital can access the information about his previous what is the medical transcription, what are the medical test, and what are the prescription given by the doctors and all those things, or the treatment has been taken and all those things. And hospital ABC is able to access the past information, and they can treat the for the new disease or for the current treatment. They can take the necessary steps. So this is how blockchain is used to securely store information, the patient details and all those things, and how it is transferred, to the helpful for the patient treatment. And yeah. So here, reinforcement learning is another machine learning technique or AI technique which has a scope and a lot of applications in healthcare. So I'll be talking about introduction about the reinforcement learning. So it's a type, it's a part of AI and machine learning here. What the system will do is learn from mistakes. So it has two. It can be an reward or penalty. So let's say we have an agent or robot. So it does an action. So based on the action, it will have a reward or penalty. So based on that, it will tries to learn. So any action will have a reward or penalty. Based on that, the system will learn, and it will, if it takes a correct step, it will be given a positive or reward. If it takes a wrong step, it will be given a penalty or negative point. So based on that, the system will learn by itself. So it is called as reinforcement learning. And the current trend which is going on is the deep reinforcement learning. We call it as a Q learning. And how it is applied in medical healthcare industry is we have several applications. If you take games for mental health, so it's one of the main application, that is a personal gen. So it has two phases, happy phase and angry phase. So he has to the patient will be who is having some mental disorder and all those things. So they'll be allowed to use this game or personal gen, and they can able to analyze the patterns, and the system will analyze the how the based on the patterns they will able to analyze, and they can take a next level of treatment. Okay, so we open, yeah. So in the garden we have several grasses, and here the angry face and the happy face will be there. So it has to, what they do is they have to search for they have to click on the happy face. They should not click on the angry face. So if the person is having a negative or stressed and all those things, they're not able to focus on the happy face. There may be a lot of clicking on the angry face and all those things, so that they can based on this application they can do the textile of treatment. So it is one of the most used applications, one of the used in some medical hospitals in the foreign university and hospitals. So it has a lot of application. It is very most used application in the healthcare industry. And so we know about deep learning. So it has various applications in healthcare, not only in medical imaging, even for drug discovery, insurance fraud, Alzheimer's disease is like mental disorder, and we have genome analysis in all those places. We have deep learning application is there. So Alzheimer's disease, it's a disease that causes memory loss, and it's one of the very difficult disease, brain disease to analyze or diagnose. And it is there is no proper identification. We are not able to identify what is a proper reason for the disease. Even from the MRI or the various scans, it's very difficult to identify the disease. So now a lot of applications people are working on using a deep learning for analyzing Alzheimer's disease. It has have given good results. And so this is for Reliefing. It is one of the app. Okay, so let me. Yeah. So Relief Link is one of the app. It is not available in Android. It is available on iOS platform. It is one of the top most downloaded app in the related to healthcare industry in iOS platform. And this app does is it identifies suicide or mental disorders or any angry situation, or they are not happy and all those things. So they are able to. It has very good rating also, and based on their mood and all those things, it will try to provide them some suggestions, and it is found to be very good application. It's one of the topmost downloaded app in the iOS platform related to the healthcare industry. So that's about the Relief Link. And what the Relief Link does is not only based on their current mood, it will also analyze the mood patterns and the past, several records of past several days, and it will try to create an it may create an SOS alert to their relatives and all those things if he is very much angry or in a very in disorder mood. Okay, so it saved a lot of lives, and it is having a lot of good application. This app. And these are the various companies working on AI technologies for healthcare industry. So it's not only the pharmacy companies will be working on. There are various several technology companies which have support for the healthcare. If you take their support, like not only for image diagnostics and all those things for drug discovery. So if you take drug discovery, IBM, I said IBM is one of the leader for drug discovery using supercomputers and all those things. There are other companies which are helping the pharmacy companies. Various discovery companies are there, technology companies which supports for healthcare, and predictive analysis, scoring, genome analysis for fitness, and virtual assistant, which is nowadays is getting famous in the UK and US, and hospital decision support systems and remote monitoring, clinical trials. These are various AI applications. AI companies which is working on the healthcare industry. It's not only the pharmacy companies. It's like pharmacy companies cannot run alone without the support of the AI or machine learning or technology companies. So they have their applications in each and every level of their each and every level. And if you know about Flappy Bird, it's similar to Mario game. So it is one of the top most downloaded games more than 2 years before. And there's a proven research article is there. There is a paper published based on this Flappy Bird game. It is proven that it de-stress, it reduces the stress if the the person is having more stress. they asked them to play this game and found that their stress level has been reduced. So nowadays, people are moving into app-based or the computer-based lot of tools, lot of games. They are developing it, or even for some of the exercise, they are trying to use the system to for even let's say they have a sprain or all those things, so they can't move the hand, but they can be given the exercise. And nowadays, the systems are giving the training. It's like based on their how much they are able to do the training, it will automatically adjust the amount of training, and it's very supportive for the healthcare industry. It's one of the proven research article is there in the I didn't remember the article, but still, I mean, it is available. You can search in the Google Scholar, you'll get the article related to this research, rapid birth game. And for bioinformatics, for genome analysis and all those things, so they have data mining or machine learning applications in the healthcare industry. And if you talk about electronic medical record in the hospitals, we have the doctors are taking a prescription and all those things. So I'll be providing the PPT. Don't worry, I'll be sending to the organizers so you can get the PPT. So here, if you take the hospitals, they have to maintain the patient record and all those things. So it's not like every time the doctor can take the so they can take the prescription, they can type all the information. So here we have the application of like voice administration and converting them into the text. But what is the problem here in the medical record is the medical terms, which is not frequently used terms. So taking the, I mean, identifying the medical terms and all those things, it are applications. And and another thing is the different hospitals, I mean, different sections, they have different templates. So these are the various applications related to electronic medical record, where they'll have different templates for different sections like radiology and other general medicine, all those things. So different templates will be there, and voice administration. Transcription is like converting the doctor's prescription, I mean, the voice to the transcription or the medical record. So prescription and concept processing. So these are the various applications related to medical record where we have UNML is applied currently. It has a lot of scope. It's still evolving, and they want to reduce the so they want to reduce the amount of typing, all those things. They want to make it is automated. So this is one of the some of the main applications. And virtual assistant is another application for healthcare industry, which is currently evolving. So it's like a system which will assist you to virtual assistant that will track your health. It's like, you, let us say you went to a hospital and have some disorder, and doctor advised you to do some exercise or some practice some of the steps or other exercise and some things. And the virtual assistant will try to track your whether you are doing it properly or not. It's not the actual person is tracking you. It is a virtual system which is tracking your checkup and all those things. And based on the pattern what you give the input, it will suggest you to whether you have to go for a checkup again, or you can whether improving or not. It's like you have a virtual, I mean, nurse with you, like that. I mean, it's currently it's evolving, and it has a lot of applications in the healthcare industry. And the future is going to be like virtual assistant. Support is more, people will be going for virtual assistant, where hospitals have the virtual assistant support. And these are the various companies which they provide support for the pharmacy companies. So if you take here, we have pharma companies here, And we have drug discovery alone. We have separate company which is on drug discovery, and tech companies like Google, IBM, and all those things. They provide cloud storage and other applications. So this is a pharma company with AI and technology. Then only they can able to have in the current competition they can able to survive. So that's all about the healthcare industry. Let me check the next slides. And if you heard about nowadays people are using, well, currently we have we call it as a AI chip. So it's called as a network processing unit or neural processing unit. So here we have Huawei Kirin 970 is the first one which come up with neural processing or network processing unit. We call it as neural processing or network processing. So it supports machine learning and AI algorithms and neural network algorithms. It is faster than the GPU. So that is advantage of neural processing unit. And based on that, Kirin 970, there are other companies which came up with similar processors. So these are the Snapdragon processor and Apple and all those things have NPU support in that. And it is faster than 25 times faster than the CPU, and it supports machine learning algorithms. That is the advantage of these processors. It is more power efficiency compared to GPU and CPU. And if you I think I didn't have the slide. Okay. So if you render any image, the CPU may render only 20%, the GPU may render only 50%. At the same time, the NPU may render 100%. So that is how the future is going to be a neural processing unit and processors. So that is I like to share here. And if you want to have work on the healthcare industry or medical imaging, these are the various data sets are available for research. And one of the famous one is OpenFMRI or OpenNeuro. So here we have not only MRI, we have various ECG and other images data sets, and other data sets are available like MRI, EEG, and these are the various data sets are available. And these are other places where you will get the healthcare or the medical imaging data sets are available here. Let me show you that. So these are other data sets which it has each and everything is focused on some particular applications. You can use any of these data sets for your research work. Okay. And another important parameter like to discuss here is the CVB ratio. So people will be when we do analysis, classification or clustering and all those things, in case if you use a classification, so we'll be using accuracy, specificity or sensitivity of score. And there is another ratio which I have used during my research. It's called as a CVB ratio. That is the number of cases to ratio. We call it as a CVB ratio. So cases we call as instances. Let us say if we take about, let us say we are talking about a breast cancer or a brain tumor. So we have 10 patient details. So that is the number of cases, or 10 patient information will be stored. So that is the number of cases or instances. Number of variables or features is, let us say from the image we extracted some features. So from the brain tumor we extracted some statistical feature or geometric features or a given feature. Let us say we have extracted 2 features. So that is we call it as a variable or features. And here we have 2 classes, 0 and 1. So 0 means normal, 1 means cancer. So based on this, we can say that CVB ratio. So in this case, we have 10 cases or 10 patient information. Divided by number of features is 2 here. Number of features is feature 1 and feature 2. So number of cases by 2, that is CVB is cases to variable is 10 by 2, that is a 5. So if you take a lot of literature works, so what I have worked on mammogram images. Just a moment. Hello. Yeah, sorry, I got a call here. So instead of normally comparing, usually people compare with accuracy and all those things. So what we analyzed was for mammogram images. So that is for breast cancer. A lot of research work has been done, and how we compared is using the CVB ratio. So literature works. Let us say what they did was they used for 300 images. For 300 images, they used more than 300. Features or 400 features they used. For each and every image, they used 300 to 400 features. So for each and every image, if you are using 400 features, they'll overfit your classifier, and which may not be the optimal one. What are the features you extracted is not the optimal one. So which may overfit your classifier, which is not efficient. So that is the way we compared. And what we did was we extracted some geometric shape based features, only 17 features we extracted, and based on CVB ratio, we found that our proposed approach was very better. And in CVB ratio, what is optimal value? We can have it as it should be greater than 4.16. It is a mathematically proven value. So there is a reference paper is there where they mention like the cases to variable ratio should be greater than 4.16. Then only what are the features you use for your the data set is efficient. Otherwise, it is not the efficient one. It will usually overfit for the current data set. Later, if you add some more images, new images, then the system will not perform better. So that is a important parameter I like to share it here. This is about my research work. So it should be CVB ratio should be greater than 4.16. So in our proposed work, we use 17 features for 300 mammogram images. This is for mammogram, and the CVB ratio is 7.64. If you take the literature works, if you see Rashid et al., they use 322 mammogram images and they use 300 related coefficients. The CVB ratio is 1.07. Minute. Yeah. So if you take the other work, they used 144 images. They used 280 features for each and every image, and CVB ratio is very low. So we found that we introduced some new features for the analysis, which is not there in the literature. Some 8 features we introduced out of 17. That our feature set is very effective in discriminating the masses, mammogram masses, and it is having good CVB ratio. So this way we evaluate it. So when you do research, don't limit to only a particular standard evaluation metrics. Try to identify some other metrics which is available, because what we found was during the research, there will be some other new metrics or some variation of the metrics will be available, which will give you to analyze. I mean, with the other literature works in a better way. So these are the various companies which is working on the artificial intelligence for general artificial intelligence, where computer vision and medical imaging. And, yeah, thank you everyone for this opportunity. So if you have any doubts, you can ask now. Then otherwise, we will go into the research tools. That is another interesting topic because we have another half an hour left. So 45 minutes left. Yeah. So we can discuss about research tools. Hello.
Yes,
Any?
participants, whoever is having doubt, please let me know.
Sir, no question is there. Shall I proceed with the next topic?
Sure, sir. Sure.
Okay, sir. Let me stop sharing. Again, I'll share my PPT. Another PPT. Clear. So is my slide visible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir, visible.
Okay, thank you. So it's an interesting topic. So I'd like to share some of my the experience, what I used during the research and all those things. So don't miss it. Uh, so we spend a lot of time in searching for the content. So even for if you people are want to use the banking websites or anything else, we will will not be using it directly. We'll be using it. So if you even if you take your college websites, so you'll be not going to the website directly. So you'll be searching the website. In the Google, and you'll be going to the website of corresponding website of that institute. So for research, so I'll be giving some of the tips, how to use a Google search and all those things, and where to search for the research papers. What are the various websites are there for getting research papers, some of the new websites and all those things. I'll show you some demonstration if possible. So I have time till 11 o'clock, correct?
Right, sir.
Yeah. So for any researcher, so people should have a profile in all these profile pages. So if you take research ID, now it is joined with the Publance.com. It is by Web of Science. So where we have ACA and all those papers are listed. So try to have a Publance profile. Yeah. and ResearchGate is, yeah, I mean, yeah. So another thing is people will be knowing about ResearchGate. So you can papers from requesting the authors and all those things. Even some of the papers, even from IEEE, we had IEEE access and Springer and elsewhere, but still some of papers are not available. We used send the email to them, the authors, and we got the research papers. So you can also try that method, and also try to have profile in Orchid and Google Scholar. Google, so people will be having it. Orchid and Scopus. I mean, Scopus you cannot have. You can link your publications, but you cannot add your publications easily because it will automatically add that there. But nowadays, Orchid ID is asked by the journals to submit a paper because that will give a more authentic information that you are a researcher and all those things. Even for reviewers, nowadays they are asking the Orchid ID. So try to have profile in all these I mean, on these websites. And what is the advantage of having the research profile on all these websites is you have vast visibility. So your papers will be visible for various authors, and that is the way it will increase the citations in your Google Scholar. You can see the citations, number of citations. So only if your paper is visible to more authors, will have more other authors will be seeing your papers, and it will increase citations. So try to have a profile in all these places, and so people are using Google Scholar and all those things. If you don't have access to IEEE Springer and all those things, you can try these websites. And there is a LibGen is there, but which is not the authenticate one. It is not a legitimate one, but still people are using that. So you can use ResearchGate, or you can use the sending an email to the author. You will get the papers. So that is a you will get most of the time you will get the papers through ResearchGate or by sending an email. If you don't have access to IEEE or Springer access or other access. And next, I'll be talking about searching, how to do, I mean, what are the Google advanced search techniques are there. So, like that, I'll be talking about. So, you know that, 1 minute. So, yeah, if you take about in India, you can see here, let me use annotation here. Yeah, if you take India here, use tool. Yeah, if you use mostly Google is 97% market share. If you take Russia, we have Yandex is a local search engine, that is Yandex. That is in Russia it is more famous. And if you take China, we have Baidu. So Baidu is most famous in China. So like that, we have several search engines. In the remaining most of the remaining places, we have Google search engine is the most used one. We can also use Baidu and Baidu search engine. It will be more faster. Uh, but since it is a Chinese website, you can avoid it. And in Google search, what is the main problem people will face is when we search for some PPT or classes or any want to download some materials. So what happens is we will have some irrelevant results, or the result what we are expecting will not be available in the first page. So people will try to move to several pages and they'll try to get the actual information. But there is advanced search methods in Google search engine. There are these tricks are available in the internet. You can search in advanced Google search tips and tricks. You will get all these informations, but people are not aware of it. So, like to share some of the most used advanced search techniques which I've been using for several years. So if you take, let us say, you want to search for a neural network. Let us say you want to search for a neural network. It gives the results. Like this is a result, number of results it shows. That is 10 crore results, 10 crore 70 lakhs results. But if you search for network and neural, it will give a 29 crore results. That's it. Because only I swapped the words, not the neural network or network neural, but there is a difference in the results. So you should know how the search engine works. Then only how the Google search work. It will keep the first word as a default one, neural, and the second word it will be using it like or and combinations. It will search for not only for neural network, it will search for neural, neural or network, neural and network, like that. It will have and neural and networks, the plural combinations of the second word. So it will use several combinations. That's why we have different search results uh, for this keywords. And if you want to search as in a specific one, try to use double quotes. So which is frequently used key. The shortcut or the tips which you can use it with the Google search. That is double quotes, and also you can use a minus symbol. So if you want to uh, uh, just a minute. So if you use a neural network, there is a different results. If you can see neural network minus CNN, if you want to search for normal traditional neural network algorithms like ANN and all those things, don't want to list the CNN or deep learning algorithms, you can use minus CNN. And if you use neural network in double quotes and minus CNN, you will have number of results will be less. And you can also use and or combinations. And like another example is like nano car. You want to use for search for nanotechnology, but don't want to search for the car, nano car, and all those things. Because if you search for nano, it will list not only the nanotechnology, it will also list the nano car and other relevant informations. So you can avoid, use specific search results like this. And another thing is a file type. So file type is we want to take nowadays. People are using online classes. They want their online PPTs preparing their classes. So when let us say you want to search for like normalization in case of DBMS, because you want to search for normalization PPT. But when you search for PPT normalization PPT in Google search, you will get not only the PPT, a lot of PDFs and some other websites, which is not which doesn't have even a PPT. So which is very relevant to your search results. But if you use a file type, so this is a most used I have been using for several years. So you will get a specific files only. Let us say on next slide, I'll show you the. Uh, Go to the next slide. Yeah. So here, see, I want to search for a PPT about neural network applications. That is, I want to search for a PPT related to neural network applications. If you search for neural network applications PPT, so the PPT is keyword is missing here. Okay. So if you search for neural network PPT here, it will shows this many results. It is 12 crore results. But if we use neural network applications file type PPT, so here I have file type is mentioned here. You can see number of results is only 2,960 results, which is very less compared to the actual the previous search results. Okay, so it will give you the relevant information so that you will get all the reduce your time in searching the websites for the any topics and those things. And another thing is site colon. So here we have to use file type colon PPT, or you can use any documents. I think there is some somebody's mic is on. Yeah, it is search as only in the website. That is, you want to search for UCA cancer data set, or you want to search for cancer data set, you can mention cancer data set uca.edu. So if you use site colon uca.edu, it will search only in the site. So like that, a lot of other advanced search techniques are there, but which is not much used. You can use these advanced search techniques for your research and general works. I found is very useful for day-to-day work. And let me clear these annotations. Yeah, and in Google Scholar, also people are not aware about creating an alert and following authors and all those things. So you can also do that so that you can get updated with the recent research work what is going on. And in create alert option, let us say you are in Google Scholar, you are searching for some topics like let us say IoT, intrusion detection in IoT. So in that case, if any new paper is getting published, you want to notified, you can create an alert for that search results so that any new papers getting published, you will be getting an email weekly or daily like that. So that will be very useful to get updated. And also you can search for recent papers since 2019 and 20. So you have on the website, you have several options are there. Since you can search for, there will be an option called since 2019 or since 2020. So that way you can get a recent papers. So that is also very useful one. And you can also follow some particular authors papers. When the new papers are published by authors, you will be getting notified. And when we want to search for a papers, so what is the problem we face is what we do is we will be focusing only on particular area. We'll not search in other relevant areas. So we'll be using only particular keywords like let us say IoT intrusion detection. So we'll be using only those keywords IoT intrusion detection in the Google search. But when you get a papers, you try to see what are the keywords used in those papers and try to use those keywords again for searching for any other relevant papers. So that way you can get a more more papers that will help you to focus your research work in a particular direction. And also try to find any thesis in your research area so that you can understand how the flow of content is presented and you will get some basic understanding about the topic. So that's what I like to share here. And Microsoft Academia, so the website is academy.microsoft.com. I will show after this PPT, I will show the demonstration on Microsoft Academic. It is similar to Google Scholar. And here you can filter by not only by year and it will shows publication types and top authors on that area and what are the top journals where that particular topic papers are published, and top institutions which are working on that, and conferences, and we call it as MESH is the most frequently used research activity. I think somebody is speaking. Mic is on, and it has more vast filtering capabilities compared to Google Scholar. So you can use it. You will be finding it very useful one. Academic.microsoft.com. You can search in Microsoft Academic or Microsoft Academia in Google. You will get this website. And another tool I like to share here is people nowadays have started using Moodle Desktop. It is a content writing supporting tools. Reference manager, we call it as a reference manager. So there are other tools like Zotero, Scavenger, and EndNote, and all those things. Moodle Desktop is easy to use, and you can change the style from one format to another format. Like when you write a paper, the main problem we face is uh, the main problem is their what you can say. We will be writing the paper in IEEE format, but you have to change when you are submitting to journal or conference. It will be in Elsevier or Springer format. Then you have to change not only the references, you have to change the literature review, the citations also have to be changed. That takes more time. Sometimes we miss out the references, or we wrongly cite the wrong references and all those things. So to avoid that, we can use Moodle Desktop. So it will, with a single click, you can change from one format to another format. Now, another tool like to share here is Search Everything. So located to Bluecon, all these tools are free to use, is open source. And important thing is Search Everything is the normal Windows search. It takes a lot of time to search for the files. And if you take yeah, I'll share this PPT, don't worry. And so the Search Everything is very faster. It will index all the files in your contents in your laptop or a desktop system. Within a fraction of 10 seconds, you can search for any file. Okay. So what the problem we face is when you write a letter or the official purpose, any documents or any class notes or any PPTs or even the research papers, we try to store it in some folder. Later we spend most of the time we'll be spending on searching that particular file. So you can this tool Search Everything. I have been using a Search Everything past more than 5 years or 6 years. I have been using this. So it is a very useful one, not only for research, for general or day-to-day purpose. Also, it serves the purpose. So it's a very useful one. I'll show you a demonstration if time is there. But it is a free to use. You can search in Google. Let's search everything. You will get the Void Tools website. You can download or you can use it. And desktop search is another one which people are not much aware. During my research in NIT Tiruchi, that time Moodle Desktop and other tools are not available. That time I have used Copernic Desktop Search. The Copernic Desktop Search up to I think 3.6, I think it is free to use. After that, the current versions are not commercial one. You can use the old version which has full functionality. It's like creating a search engine for your system files or your desktop or laptop. So not only it will index the documents and all those things, it will index the contents inside the documents, all type of documents, not only the PDF or documents. It will index the text files, XLS, HTML, even the browsing history, image tags and all those things. Everything will be indexed. You can easily search for all the contents. So I have used the Copernic Desktop Search during the research. It is very found very useful. You can also try this. So next. So Plagiarism Checker tools, you can search in Plagiarism Checker online. You will get some of the tools websites. Viper and Turnitin are commercial one. The remaining tools or websites are free to use, but they have like limitations, like you can copy paste only 3 pages or some paragraphs like that. But still, if you don't have access, you can try these things. And another thing is the shortcuts which people should know. That is the Control W for closing a tab, and Control T for creating a new tab, and Control 1 to 8 is going to the particular tab. Control N is it creates a new window, and Control Home and End it will goes to the top of the page or end of the page. And when you use a Firefox, I mean these shortcuts will work with Chrome also, and Control Home and End will work with almost all the tools. I mean, like MS Word and all other tools. And I have been using the Firefox for more than 10 years, and I'm not using a Chrome. Because it has a lot of plugins are there. So you have seen some lot of YouTube videos and all those things. So you want to download the videos for data purpose, but you'll be using some online tools like YouTube download online. Then you'll be downloading it. But even with the Firefox, you can download the videos immediately with a like, lot of extensions are there. So it will help you to download all the YouTube videos in a different size and different formats. So it's a very useful one compared to other browsers. And this one, so Rakhi Chakravarti mic is on. So another thing is when we use internet, we'll be using internet in our systems and all those things. The default settings it will be for not for the current high-speed connections. The current settings with the Windows it's for like maybe the dial-up connections or other connections. With some of the settings can be optimized so that you can get a better speed. So you can use MTU optimizer or TCP optimizer. So it is very simple to use. In this image, you can see we have optimal option here. You go to each and every tab. Each and every tab, you can go here, advanced general settings, and each and MTU and all those each and every settings. Click optimal and apply changes. So that is enough. So that you will get a better internet speed. Have been using optimizers and have been using disk defragmentation, CCleaner, and Driver Easy. So Driver Easy is a free tool, as a limited free version is there. So what the problem people will be doing it is they will not update their drivers. So try to update all your drivers to recent one so that it will have it will get a better performance in the system. So I think those are, let me share a minute. So yeah, so I told about Mendeley Desktop. You can also use other various tools are available. So yeah. So Mendeley Desktop it has a lot of other functionality like you can take a notes, highlight important points. It automatically extract the information from the PDF papers. That is the title of the paper, author names, keywords, abstract, and everything it will extract automatically. It will index all the contents in your papers, the reference papers, and you can search not only the title of the paper or the content inside the paper can be also searched. And it has a MS Word plugin where you can change the style from IWD to Springer or various formats. With a single click, you can change the formats. Not only the citations, the references style also, everything it changes automatically. It's a very useful one. So that's all about. Let me skip all these things. So to use some flowchart diagramming tools, you can try using. We'll be using only MS Word or Microsoft Excel. But professional works, they'll be using Visio Smartra. Both are commercial one, so you can try any one of these tools. You will get a trial versions, and you can use it for your research. Let me stop sharing and let me show you search everything. I'll share my full screen. I'll share you search everything and Microsoft Academic. Okay, my screen is visible. Yeah. So let me show you search everything. So we have search everything. So I'm opening now. Till now I'm not opened it. I think it's not open. Yeah, it's not open. I'm using search everything. You can see search everything is opening now. So it is indexing my system. You can see the bottom left. We have sorting the all my contents in my system. It is sorting the files. You can see number of files here is 9,94,000 objects are file found in my system. Let me search for A for healthcare. Okay. PPT. You can see AI tools healthcare PPT is there. So it is not only the file names, I mean the PPT or any files, it will also show the folders also. So if you can see, it will not only the files, all the folders with this relevant to this file name, it will be displayed. Within a fraction of seconds, it will show all the files. So if you want, let me search for letters, text, it will show all the documents. It will help you for searching for all your files and everything. It is very useful one. So try to use this one. It's a free to use open freeware version, and it also has advanced searches like everything, or only you can search for documents, or only search for a video or picture, or the documents alone. You can use multiple advanced searches capabilities are there, and even regular expression and advanced search techniques are also there along with this tool. And let me show Microsoft Academic. Okay, let me use this. Microsoft Academic. Yeah. So this is the Microsoft Academic, which is similar to Google Scholar. It has search for IoT inclusion detection. Spelling mistake. Yeah. You can see the results. You can see it is shows from different years. You can also choose from which year to which year you want to get the publications. I choose on 2020, 21. And here you can see a lot of 11 relevant topics related to this such results. And the publication types, you can search for journal publications or conference and other things. And based on the authors, also you can see these are the most famous or top authors on this IoT nutrition direction. You can filter by authors, and also you can filter by the journals which publish most of the papers on IoT nutrition direction, and the top institutions which I was working on this IoT nutrition direction, and conference related to these topics. So this is a very useful one, and it also shows the some child topics or parent topics, relate the topics like that. So you can use, click here, you can see the relevant keywords, more what are the relevant keywords used to by the authors. So this is very better than Google Scholar. You can start using this. So that's all from my side. So let me stop my presentation. Yes, sir.
Okay, now it's time for questionnaire. Participants can interact with sir. You can unmute and interact with sir if you have any queries. You can ask directly. Yes, any questions? If you have any questions, you can ask now.
It's like no questions from the participants. I shared my email ID. So if there is no questions, then we can end the session, madam.
Okay, sir. I guess no more questions from participants. So I guess now we reached the end of the session. I thank Dr. B. Surendran for shedding light on artificial intelligence in healthcare applications and also providing research trends and applications for the same. Sarah has discussed about the data sets for research work, research profiles, Google's global search engine, market share, searching for files and contents, plagiarism checkers, Firefox tips and all, and how to organize the PDF articles and many more aspects. So I thank you so much for accepting our invitation and getting associated with this FTP, sir. It was an excellent and informative talk, and we look forward to more such associations with you again. Thank you very much once again, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, madam. I'm leaving the meeting.
Yeah, sure, sir. Sure. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Surendran sir, for accepting my invitation in your busy schedule. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you, sir.
Participants, next session, that is second session of the day, starts at 12:30 p.m. and it will be handled by the eminent personality like Dr. Lalit Kumar Singh, who is a scientist in reactor safety analysis, Government of India. Please note the timings. Session 2 begins at 12:30 p.m. So we'll meet at 12:30. Thank you all for joining us. Thank you.
Ramya ma'am, 1 minute. The session will start by 12 p.m. today only. The actual timing scheduled 11:30 due to some constraints. Today only the session will start by 12 p.m. 12:30 p.m.
12:30 p.m. Okay.
Yes.
Ma'am, we haven't got attendance sheet.
Yeah, sure. Now I will share the attendance sheet.
Okay, thank you.
Hello, madam.
Yes, sir.
Madam, I am Dr. Govind from Guntur RANGC.
Yes, sir.
Yesterday, I need to fill the attendance sheet, madam. I have attended the classes, but I am unable to attend the attendance sheet.
Okay. Okay.
How can we rectify that, madam? Because as when we logged on, we can take the attendance, madam. That will be
Okay.
recorded, no? Yesterday, I missed that one. Each time,
Okay, sir.
4 sessions I have missed for that attendance.
Okay, sir. I will
Whenever
look into that.
we are logging on, we can get the attendance. Separately, you are giving the attendance sheet.
Yes, sir.
Did I miss that?
Excuse me, Ramya ma'am, 1 minute. Sir, Govind sir, we note your attendance, sir. Actually, when we post the attendance, the participants should enter the attendance within 15 minutes. Otherwise, the link will be expired. That's the problem.
For the last 3 sessions, yesterday's sessions, I missed the attendance.
Okay, sir, no problem.
Whenever I'm looking into that,
We will consider, sir. We will consider. Ramya ma'am,
Okay.
note down that details.
Yes, sir.
Doctor,
Yes, sir.
please give your attendance on time. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir.